I'm Maria Menounos, and you're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
Welcome back, guys. We are back. Tiger King After Show here on AfterBuzz, and today we are going to talk about episode 8, which aired last Sunday. It was the one that all the drama, that Jeff Lowe did the cameo to Justin Turner and said that they were filming. This is the episode with Joel McHale where they're going over everything. So we're going to cover everything that goes on in that episode. Before we get into that, let me introduce myself and my two co-hosts. I'm Jessy Zayner, and with me today are the rest of the Tiger King panel. Algaes, Al Greg, as you know him.
Hey everybody, what's up? It's your boy Algaes again, ready to talk Tiger King in the quarantine and chill and apocalypse and chill and all that good stuff later.
Yes, later he'll have his special segment, so stick around for that. And Cortez Kirkwood.
Yeah, we are back. It has been a wild ride on this show, but the after show kind of, gave us the last, not really missing pieces, but it kind of gave us that last little touch of, oh, okay, we can now sleep well.
Right. Right. So I don't even know where to begin because I have so many thoughts because it is kind of just like a recap of everything, kind of where is everybody now and like whose side are people on, and also a little bit about the editing and what went on, because I feel like we got a different view of people in this. I really feel like that. So I mean, let's just start at the beginning with Eric Cowie. He was the first one that came on. He's the guy with the long blonde hair who took care of the Tigers when Joe was basically just like being a narcissist and being in front of everybody and not really caring for the Tigers as well. Eric was there to take care of them. He kind of like flipped the switch with Joe, I feel like. But I kind of at the same time understand him because he loves these animals. So Cortez, what did you think of Eric and where he's at with everything now?
Well, I will say I thought it was interesting because much like the rest of the cast, they all kind of mentioned their fame and how they go to Walmart and everyone's like, oh, you.
Yes.
He seemed to be there was another person that we'll talk about. He seemed to be very I wouldn't say the script changed with him, but he seemed to be very like, no, Joe, and I wasn't surprised, but I mean, like, even in his last little statement, he was like, F all y'all, so what I was getting that he was upset about Joe, and even just like the fans, it seemed, I don't know, like, I think maybe it seemed like he got backlash a lot about a lot of things, and he's just like over it. I'm surprised he even did the after show, because it's like he'd be the person to be like, no, I'm not doing it, because he didn't seem like he didn't care. He didn't care. Just like F all that his entire interview.
Al, what are your thoughts on Eric?
Yeah, no, I agree. He looked like he definitely wasn't ready for the post Tiger King fame or whatever notoriety or infamy comes from it. And in this interview, he was also kind of I don't know how to characterize him. I don't know if I thought he was kind of evasive, ethereal, and we were talking about on the last episode. I was probably drunk half the time, but this time I really thought, he might be missing a screw. He might be short one of the tools in the tool shed, because he was like, the show's on, I can watch it. What are you talking about? And like,
maybe, he hadn't seen the episode.
It's like maybe somebody needs to check on Eric. # check on Eric, man, or maybe he couldn't even afford a Netflix account, because if all these people are seeing him out and about, filming him, obviously the show is out there to the public. He didn't have to wait for the producers to send him a cut, but hey, maybe that's all a part of who he is. A part of him is endearing to and kind of sad, like everybody.
Yeah, we have Free Joe Exotic in the live chat, and he says apparently him and Donald Trump are the two only people in America who haven't seen it. But I mean, I was shocked that he hadn't seen it. I was different from Kirkwood, I'm sorry, I'm calling you by your last name. I was different. I felt differently than Cortez. I didn't expect him to flip on Joe so much. But I at the same time, I kind of did, because I understood that he loved these animals. But at the end of episode 7, I was really worried about Eric. I was like, oh my gosh, this guy's not going to make it. He's like going to kill himself. That's what I thought. Cause like he was just not doing well.
Yeah.
I feel like he's doing a lot better now. And I just thought he was funny. But I think he's doing better. And I think he also mentioned that he was never on drugs. His teeth are just bad. I found that shocking too.
My teeth are just messed up. I never smoked meth. And I have no judgment over here. but real quick, but again, like you guys had both noted how, he kind of started to throw Joe more under the bus more. And again, that to me, that just goes back to the whole like rats fleeing the sinking ship type of mentality. There was just, not to say that, I don't know what I would have done in his position. But obviously Joe was buried, as far as like the feds in his case at that time too. I just think people, when things start going down the drain, you also start looking for other people to blame too, as opposed to say, okay, like what was my part? How did I get myself into this? Yeah. So, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His hair looked, a little more fresh.
Yeah, it did.
It looked like he got a nice little, curl and bump maybe before he got on camera. And yeah, he didn't look how he looked good.
Yeah, exactly. So I think the biggest, the person I was most excited to see on this, because we don't get Joe on this episode, we don't get Carol on this episode, and we don't get Doc Antle on this episode. So with those guys not being in it, the biggest person I was excited to see on this episode was Jeff Lowe, because we've heard in the media that Jeff Lowe was not happy with how this like showed him. So I was curious how he would treat the host of the show, what he would say. What were your guys' thoughts of the interview with Joe and Lauren?
To be honest, those two very robotic. I was listening to them, but just what they were saying, it didn't seem like their narrative changed much from, I think obviously they were a little, displeased with the way that the show perceived them to be. But I mean, the footage is there, and it's something they wanted to clear up their name in a lot of the mess that they had been, assumed to be a part of. But the one thing that stood out to me is that, I mean, it seemed like they were, one thing that they said was they thought that that Carol killed her husband. It was interesting to hear them bring that up. It was kind of like it just kind of seems like, okay, maybe Joe wasn't as crazy. Maybe we're not as crazy because they're at least thinking the same thing, or maybe they were listening and watching the blog like we're all watching. Who knows? But that stood out to me that they said that, and it just makes me think back to Carol, that smart woman that is just watching all of this.
Yeah, she was playing chess. They were all playing checkers.
Yeah. Al, what did you think of the interview with Jeff and Lauren?
It didn't really move the needle for me on those two, specifically Jeff. And I like to look at people as three-dimensional human beings. I'm sure there's some good things about him that I just don't know. But for him to be complaining about how he's portrayed in the press, you got to give people some content or some material where you're actually doing something positive or unselfish. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. When everything you're doing is kind of willing and dealing to save yourself and to save your ass or entrap somebody else or get somebody else admitting something on camera, obviously you're going to look like an ass.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I don't know that it moved the needle for me either. I was just actually shocked that I still am kind of shocked with what we were talking about last episode, that like these people are not getting in trouble for anything, like none of them. So I'm just kind of still shocked that they're like still planning to open this zoo. They talked about the nanny too, with both Eric and Jeff. And there's so many rumors about the nanny not being like a real nanny and all this stuff. So it's just, I don't know what to believe with Jeff and Lauren anymore. I'm just curious to see kind of how it all goes once it opens. I guess for me, I was just shocked that he got on there and I don't know. He just like, I thought he would go off more about just like how things didn't portray him correctly. But he was like calm and laid back, so I was kind of shocked by it. I don't know, but
I noticed
she did a lot of talking. Actually, I feel like she talked a lot more than she did before. So he did seem like, it's almost like he gave like I ain't got nothing to prove, That's what I got from that, but she did a lot of talking this time, I will say.
Yeah.
And side note, as far as Jeff, and while I perceived like his demeanor like that too, but it doesn't mean that he's not doing any things to choreograph things like that. The nanny, of course, I wouldn't be surprised if she's not a nanny at all. They just probably found her online, got her picture the same way he like recruited all the escorts to take pictures with him in Vegas. It's to them, it's just all press.
Yeah. Yeah, we have Free Joe Exotic back in the chat that said Jeff is for sure going to catch a charge unless Tim Stark gets him first. That's such a good point, because at the end of the episode, Tim Stark was like so mad at Jeff, and he was like basically saying he was like going to hunt him down or something. So, I mean, I don't know, but so two other people that I love from this season. Well, my two favorite people from the season are SAP and Ricky, and this episode just further shows like that they're just like good people. I thought their interviews were great. They still shows their loyalty to Joe. What did you guys think of SAP and Ricky?
Ricky, he's okay to me. I think that you mentioned before a couple of seconds ago that you said something about them reopening the case or them getting locked up, but he mentioned that he's prepared to go back to court. So I think he feels like there's unfinished business, and obviously with this documentary being out, he knows that, or has a feeling that they're going to be going back into trial. What and I don't think it's for getting Joe out. I think it's for getting the other people involved into jail as well. So that is what stood out for me from him. And for SAP, I think we grew to love him more. And I mean, for someone to have such a minimal character that had such a large role and impact in the series, I think that he was key. It seems like that he is probably like the fan favorite of the show, that I don't think anyone could not like SAP.
Right.
That's just
I
me.
agree. Yep.
And yeah, he seemed to be the only rational person. Now, at the end of it all, that's one of the only persons that you can look at and be like, okay, like there was some good. There was some good.
Yeah, I totally agree. Al, what did you think of Ricky and SAP's interviews?
Is Ricky the other John?
Yeah, no, Ricky's the one with no legs, but he is John.
Yeah. Again, like I think he and SAP probably came off as the most empathetic, but there was something they alluded to, like in the final episode, like it had supposedly ended his marriage, and he was divorcing his wife because of that. I don't know. Honestly, I didn't know he was married, but I didn't honestly see why he had to divorce his wife because of this. Obviously, maybe there's more to the story, but he wasn't actually a key player in the story. Matter of fact, he kind of volunteered to participate in it. So I want to know more about that, and if you guys have any clue about that. But yeah, obviously, SAP, I felt like he was the only one, like what you see is what you get.
Yeah. No, I agree. I totally forgot about that. Rinky is like having a really hard time after all this. He said he like lost a bunch of weight, like doesn't fit in any of his clothes anymore. He got a divorce, but now he's like dating somebody new. It's just hard to see all these guys go through this, because somebody else who is really struggling, which I know we talked about it last time, was Josh Dial. He's the campaign manager. He is even going through stuff. He was trying to do a GoFundMe to get help to go to therapy after he saw Travis. Actually, this interview was very interesting because he talks about the incident with Travis, and he basically makes it sound like he really truly thinks it was a mistake. Like Travis didn't actually mean to kill himself. Do you guys believe that? Cortez, we'll start with you.
Well, I want to say one thing while we're moving off SAP. I liked one that he said. He seemed to be the only one that really wanted to portray a good light on Joe. And although he said that Joe should be, in jail, but not die in jail, I thought that was key.
Right.
And he also brought light to the Thanksgiving dinner initiative that they had. Yeah. Basically, still showing that this man wasn't all bad, and that stood out to me for SAP. So kudos to him. But as far as Josh, that was an interesting part for me. It kind of really grabbed my attention because he's basically, for one, admitting that he did need some help and some counseling to get through that. Because obviously we talked about it last week, and that's a very traumatic situation, for someone to, experience that. And it's just unfortunate to see him in the moment. He was also talking about Joe and being gay in Oklahoma and how the population is very small. His character seemed to open up a lot more, even in just this small segment for the after show. And I actually enjoyed him, like, listening to him in this segment. It was really, I guess I would say, a nice positive thing to see. So.
Yeah, Al, what are your thoughts of his interview?
Oh no, I actually believed he was sincere as well. I remember when they showed the video, and I still can't believe they captured, the accidental suicide on camera. But I believed him, like that the boyfriend was running around, with a gun, aiming guns. The same thing Joe was,
Yeah.
I actually know guys, and kids don't try this at home, but guys, what's that game, man? They play like they did in Apocalypse Now. Anyway, don't try to. Yeah.
Resident Evil.
Where you put a bullet in the chamber, and I don't know.
Yeah.
Don't try. I shouldn't even be talking about it. But like people do that when they're high. People do crazy things when they're high, and I believe that he was just running around thinking, that he could put the gun. See, look, it's not loaded. Blah blah blah. I don't think he was probably totally in his head or had all his faculties at that moment. So I totally believe it. And but Josh will bounce back. He seemed, again. I want to give him his credit. I didn't see any I guess questions about his character that I thought would like portray him in a negative light. He just looked like he was doing him. He's like this guy, who has his own political beliefs and he wants to represent that. And this is something he didn't bargain for.
Yeah. No, we have Jill Z in the chat says, yeah, I definitely think it was an accident with Travis. I mean, Josh said, don't point that gun at me. And then Travis was like, it won't go off, and put it up to his head. For me, this entire time believed that Travis purposely killed himself. Like, I really thought I just thought everything that he was going through, I thought he really loved Joe because he was all upset about him not getting enough attention. Had killed himself on purpose, but now hearing the story I side, and I just really feel he can get the help that he needs.
Okay.
I think there's something to that, Jessy. Can you guys hear him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I think there's something to that, Jessy, just to the effect of, again, Joe kind of modeled himself after Doc, and he wanted to have like this harem of husbands, which is fine, do you, but obviously he wasn't thinking about them as an individual. The time that when he marries the first guy and then he brings another guy into the relationship, it didn't seem like he was very concerned about the original husband's feelings. And guess what? One of the guys kills himself, and guess what? Joe goes off and gets him another husband in Dylan. And so I wouldn't be surprised if 20 years later, even when he does get out, he's going to come back with like a young new husband too. So I think that says more about, just like how selfish he is.
It's true. Well, Josh did say that he likes them young and dumb. So if he gets out and, is 70 or whatever, and obviously Dylan is not going to be young and probably not dumb. I don't really know, but he seems like a very level-headed guy. Even just watching him now, seeing him, out in the real world. So, yeah, I agree.
Right. Well, let's talk about one of his other husbands. The first husband we get to meet on the show, John Finley, does an interview, and he talks about everything from his tattoo cover-up to why he was wearing his no shirt the entire season. Cortez, let's start with you. What did you think of John Finley's interview with Joel McHale?
I thought it was very funny, because Joel McHale introduced him by saying something he was missing more than he was teeth, and I hollered. And then for him to come on the camera and have teeth, it was just like, look at this glow up. Like he
definitely had the glow up.
His teeth look amazing. His teeth look great. He has the best glow up on the entire. He looks the same, but he looks completely different. And he seemed to be very, happy and enthused and have more, even when he seemed more well spoken, I think, than he was in the documentary. So it was kind of refreshing to see him. Now, he got to talking about what is it? He got to talking about he said he was the only character that seemed to be the most interested in watching the documentary. He said that him and his wife watched it like as soon as it dropped because they wanted to see what was on it. I thought that was good because it baffles me that maybe these characters didn't really watch it, haven't watched it, or watched it later to see what. Because if I recorded something, I'm going to want to see what I look like because I didn't have any thing on editing. So that was interesting too. He was just, I guess, good to watch too. And he was talking about the drugs. Just like someone said in the comments that, if you got to mention the drugs, then, you probably still do them. But I'm not making any allegations. I'm just saying that he acknowledged that he did them, but he said that the whole time that he was sober, I guess, at an earlier point of the documentary, which was, it alluded to he wasn't. And even Joel McHale made a comment, kind of saying like, oh, so you were sober during this point? So I don't know. That part sounded a little fishy to me. I think Joel was kind of dibbing and dabbing in that. I would have, I was like leaning in, but it was kind of messy. So I guess he kind of leaned out.
He lost track of the timetable. Maybe he was sober like in that moment, but 5 minutes earlier he wasn't, so.
Yeah.
Right. Something was.
So. And I agree with what Cortez said. And, but I felt like he was more present, really, just like looking into his eyes. And so I don't know if that meant he was a bit more mature, but I got a chance to get a better sense of him as a person, like some growth. Just the fact that he's able to talk about, the drug use and actually covering up the tattoo, is a step forward, as an act of moving on. He strikes me as the guy who probably like 5 years ago had 3 other names, crossed out on his back or on his crotch. But hopefully this time will be the last time. And it sounds like he's kind of like coming out the other and hopefully a better person.
Yeah, I think so. It sounds like it.
He won. He got the secretary.
Yeah. Yep.
And the veneers.
And the veneers.
Yeah.
Those teeth look really good. Those are some teeth. Those are Nene teeth. Nene? Those are Nene Lee.
Oh yeah. I love Nene. So somebody that I thought was interview was really good was Rick's. I was curious to see what he thought of everything because he was on that whole series until he left, and then we didn't really hear from him again. And that he's got to be bitter from this because he kept saying like, this was my retirement. Why would I burn the place down? So I was curious to see what he had to say. So he's like off in Norway with his new girlfriend. And he said even over there, he's getting his picture in like the paper and like people are recognizing him. But he sounded like so bitter. I don't know that I blame him though. Tell me what your guys' thoughts were on Rick's interview for this episode.
I understand why he's bitter because as a documentarian, I believe he thought what he was capturing really was gold, and it probably was. And this is before, Netflix came in, and the entire situation. So he was documenting it first. But I mean, one of the things you learn as a filmmaker and probably as an artist, whether you're an actor or anybody who works with content that, you capture digitally, you have to back it up. You know what I mean? You can't just go leave all your content at Joe the Tiger King's house. You know what I mean? He's the last person I would trust. I'll be making backups of the backups at my home. So that was kind of on him to, to actually lose all that, all the hard drives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The one thing that I got is he didn't get his teeth done, unlike John Finley.
Oh, I know.
I mean, you go from this whole narrative of teeth, and he's like, Rick, and is like, oh, but someone else in the comments said people seem to not really like Rick. I didn't like Rick. I mean, when we talked about it, I still feel like he had something to do with those things being burned up, and I believe that now. He obviously was very, very, very upset at Joe, and like you said, we hadn't seen him in a while in the 3 episodes, so it was good to see him. But he was on the same narrative as him and what's his name? Eric they were almost the same person. They had the same attitude and demeanor as Joe, like F the bar, but I will say with Rick was in more of a lighter spirit about it, and he was kind of enjoying the fame. I think when they asked him about who should play his role, if the movie, he just kind of blew up a little bit. So
right.
yeah, he was like mad at Joe, but he was living it all of it. Like they were talking about Joe being, in his fame, but still you can tell that even Rick was kind of like, oh, like living in the moment, like this is everything. That's what I got from him. He's enjoying the spotlight that has come despite, burning up his own thing.
Yeah, for sure. And then overall, just like, what did you guys think of Joel McHale as the person that did this show, also quarantined at home? What did you think of his interviews that he gave?
Ironically, I don't have an opinion. I've never had an opinion either way about Joel McHale. I just remember him from being on E, like a decade ago when he was like doing Talk Soup, and he'd always like turn to the side and like show like his profile and his great side. Yeah. He was like that same guy.
Yeah, same. Yeah.
He had changed a bit. He's cool, whatever. I just think, when you guys were alluding to the beef of the chick from 90 Day Fiance, and him, and I guess, I don't know, it's just funny, man. Everybody associated with the show, is kind of like has to hold on to their last little 15 minutes and, fight for their little cyber clout, down to the very end.
That's so funny. You're right. Mm-hmm. That's so funny. Cortez, what did you think of him?
Yeah, I enjoyed him. He was, I like to see, I think he brought a lot of humor into a situation that we thought was entertaining and funny in the moment, but it's still a very serious case and situation. So I enjoyed his jokes. I actually laughed a little more in this than I did some of the other episodes. I mean, obviously there was not much comedy, but he was pretty entertaining. I think he basically did the best of what he was given. I don't think they gave him much room for him to do other than interview each person and kind of just get where are they now. That's really all he was given to do. But I think with a larger type of, maybe like an open panel where they all were there, I would have liked to see him. How would he have really maneuvered in that type of environment?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think he did the best with what he could, because it was hard just because he was at home and they were over the thing, and it was just kind of catching up with people. Free Joe Exotic is in the live chat and says, because we were talking about this last episode too, that he's better than Sean Robinson would have been. And I agree. But the whole thing as a whole, I just thought it could have been way more entertaining. There's so much that went on. I just thought, we could have heard from more people, and there could have been more information about what actually happened brought in, but there wasn't. And maybe it couldn't, because also there's probably people are being investigated for things, and I don't know what they can say and what they can't. So there's that. Carol would never come on. I think Joe would probably come on and do an interview from prison if he could, but I think he's in that like coronavirus cell or whatever.
Oh, Joe is he would definitely be there, and we will talk about that in news and gossip.
Perfect. That's awesome.
What it's going to be about.
And kind of dovetailing what you guys said as far as like the actual the production value of the show. I'm not really judgmental about that kind of stuff. We're doing the show here on Zoom too, but I could have thought they could have, like, as they're talking about some of these pivotal incidents, they could have like pulled up some of the old clips and like reacted to them. Like totally in a different light now.
That's true.
And instead Joe's sitting back, laying in his drawers in his bed,
Yeah. No, and I'm glad you brought that up, because I'm a person who is like, everybody stay at home. Like, and we're doing this over Zoom. We're usually in studio, and I know some of the challenges that come with this, but I agree with Al. Like, I feel like it was just put together so quickly, and I don't know. There was not enough information, not enough clips, not enough reacting to things that happened on the show, just more of a catch up. Where are they now? Which, because the show's so popular, I've already read like 18 articles about where everybody is now, and stalked their Instagram and Twitter and everything else. So I just wanted to hear a little bit more. But just to go, we have Free Joe Exotic in the chat, and they're saying that the TMZ special was better than episode 8. The TMZ special is another episode that came out. Yeah. And Doc Antle's actually on that episode. So if you guys do love Tiger King, go check that out. They talk a little bit more in depth about it. And I did think it was, I mean, I don't know. I thought both were fine, and I watched both of them because I love this show, but I just thought there could be a little bit more. So, Yeah, go check out that and let us know what you guys think in the comments. But I don't want to go in further anymore about if Joe could be on the reunion special, because I would love to see him. But I know Cortez has some stuff to talk about with that. So before we get to Cortez with his news and gossip, let's go to Algaes with his animal apocalypse.
Hey everybody, I'm back with my weekly hashtag animal apocalypse update while we're all hashtag quarantining and chilling. This time we're going to talk about crazy animalistic zombie mice. Last time we talked about, invertebrates and pythons and ants that actually consume themselves, given the walls are closing in an apocalyptic situation and people are hungry. But this time we're talking about a mouse that is out of control. And this comes to you by way of livescience.com. Invasive house mice took on full-grown albatross on the World Heritage Site of Gough Island in the South Atlantic. The rodents often kill seabird chicks and eat the birds alive, but no one had ever witnessed mice attacking an adult albatross. So imagine an albatross is like the size of a seagull, like five times the size of a little mouse. Albatross lay only one egg every other year, so every loss of an egg, chick, or adult matters for population numbers. To protect the species and other birds on the island, the Royal Society of the Protection of Birds is working with the government of Tristan de Chuna, a territory of Great Britain, to eradicate the invasive rodents. But basically, these little mice are getting at these full-size albatross, and they got the albatrosses on the run. So they ain't playing no games, and they ain't backing down. Animals are crazy these days, people. Animals are crazy. Oh, speaking of which, I just saw a clip on MSNBC about all these animals abandoned over the world because of the lockdown and left to roam free, like in the streets. It's so, I don't know, what was that movie with Will Smith? It's the End of the World.
Yeah. Oh, what is it called?
Yeah, whatever that movie.
I Am Legend.
I Am Legend.
Yes.
Yeah, literally like scenes like that. They were showing clips from that on MSNBC about like animals that were like untethered, like wandering the streets.
Yeah,
so it's kind of sad. It's sad. We're in a sad state of affairs, people.
Yeah. Oh man, thanks so much, Al. We love his animal apocalypse segments every episode. So thanks so much for that. And next we are going to Cortez with our news and gossip.
Okay, so we talked a little bit about TMZ, and how if he could be in the episode 8, he would have wanted to be so excited. So the top judge, I'm by myself without a computer. Now, as we recently, you guys may know, we reported last week that he was transferred to a prison because of the quarantine, basically saying because he was exposed to people that were diagnosed with COVID-19. So now he's in this prison, and in this prison, he can't have access. But while this is going on, he's still having to, appeal and fight out his $89 million lawsuit to, for wrongful imprisonment. And right now he's trying to appeal. This goes to earlier when I was saying that he would have wanted to do that. I think we mentioned in the previous episode that he has people running his fake account.
Yeah.
But he can't risk lawsuit. So he's desperately fighting to get that. And Joe, I mean, he's very persistent. I don't know if he's going to win. I don't know how this is going to work, but they're saying that he's been in there for a while, for I think over 2 weeks now, I believe, or right at 2 weeks. And I think this article came out today. So I wonder, will he be able to get out in time, be able to get to access to items that he can actually fight this lawsuit? Or will it just be something that just like, oh, well, what do you guys think?
I have no idea.
Yeah, I kind of, Cortez, I kind of wish, like, even though the guy's like lost a lot of points, like character-wise, I kind of wish he had some type of better representation, because it doesn't seem like, if he had any degree of a competent lawyer, he would be able to point to basically how the lack of credibility everybody around him had accusing him.
Right.
So I don't know. I would have liked to. I don't know. I hope he gets representation. On a side note, I think I mentioned this in not that anybody's surprised, but all this stuff is coming out about how Joe Exotic is a racist. And surprise, surprise, this guy from wherever he is in Oklahoma, and I don't know, in his mullet. But apparently there's a rant of him talking about why he should be able to use the N-word.
I saw that. You're right. Yeah.
Floating around the YouTube. And then his one of the co-creators, Tiger King's co-creator, Rebecca Chaiklin, has said that racist language used by Joe Exotic had to be cut from the show. So we're sure there's a whole lot more to it.
Wow. I did. Now that you're saying that, I did see that video of him walking around saying that he wanted to use the N-word because it was like in all these songs and stuff like that. Oh, it's just, it's crazy. So.
And actually, like, who's surprised that he said that? Nobody's surprised that
he... No, not surprising, actually. It's not surprising. I mean, it wasn't showcased, so they did a good job of taking it out, but it's not surprising. He lives in Oklahoma.
That's true. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Oh my God, it's terrible though. But guys, it's so sad that this has to come to an end, but we are finally here with the last episode, and I can't believe it's over. Really quick, I just want to give a shout out to Bree, our producer. She's just wonderful, been great every single week, and everybody at AfterBuzz TV, because everybody there is working so hard. We usually are in studio, and these guys run so many shows and so much content, and now they're doing it from their house. So they're even pushed like to the limit, like you guys can't even imagine. So thank you to everybody at AfterBuzz for making this happen, for allowing us to keep going, keep talking about these shows that we love. Huge shout out to them. Thank you so much to everybody in the comments and in our live chat. We've had so much fun every week with you guys, just talking about the Tiger King and hearing your thoughts. So thank you so much for joining us. And then also to you guys, Al and Cortez, thank you guys so much for joining me for this show. I've just had so much fun talking about it. So before we go, Al, tell everybody where they can find you at.
Hey everybody, your boy Al Gregg. You can follow me on IG at Algaes_Jamaica House Film. That's actually ALG_Jamaica House. And let's continue the discussion, man. We want to keep the communication going. There's so much content out there, and I'd love to talk with you guys about it too.
And Cortez, tell everybody where they can find you.
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram. I came in episode 3 of this, and I was glad that Jess and Al welcomed me. I've had a good time watching this show and talking about this show. If you want to continue to follow me outside of Instagram, I'm also on YouTube at The Lean. You can also see me in the comments too. So if you want to find me, you can subscribe and follow me there as well.
Yes, and I'm Jessy Zahner. You can find me all over social media at AthletChick. Guys, if you like this video, please give us a thumbs up button. Hit the thumbs up button, comment, because we still will respond to you, because I am still obsessed with the show and it's all I think about and talk about. It's crazy. And just check us out on social media and connect with us. We love hearing from you guys. So again, thank you so much to everybody involved in letting us do this Tiger King and everybody that joined us. And until next time, see you guys.
Our founder, Keven Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.